What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony and Mike, and we are discussing episodes 4 and 5 of the Marvel Echo series. And this episode, let's start with episode 4. Episode 4 starts out kind of bloody.
It's the best. I love this opening. I was waiting ever since I saw the trailer. I was like, I need to see this opening. But it's like I love this shows like the viciousness and the like just brutality of Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was a douchebag, but does anyone really deserve being beaten that fucking bad though? I
No,
was on the fence. I was like, I see it, I understand it, but dude.
yeah, but I think so. It's crazy that that's where your focus with my focus for that particular scene was, looking at the dynamic between Maya and Fisk. Like here in this scene, it clearly establishes he represents an uncle figure towards her. He's picking her up from school. So all of the questions that we had earlier in the first 3 episodes about, how their relationship has grown or how they bonded, it's obvious it started from a very early age, probably when she first came to New York, because it's like for him to take that kind of an interest in a child, and I'm not even talking about the fight or okay, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that because that was not a fight. The beatdown of the hot dog vendor, because he was upset because of the way that he treated Maya. I can understand that, but he's picking Maya up from school. That's not something that just anybody does. This is a person who is like the criminal mastermind of the city, but he's doing after school pickup. You know what I'm saying? This is not just a typical, I'm just going to, help you out with your child. There is a bond there. He clearly loves Echo or let me not use Echo because she's never called that in this series. He clearly loves Maya as a daughter, and we see that in the different flashbacks and the different interactions they have with each other in these 2 episodes. But it's kind of like the thing that stood out to me as well was Maya's response to what he did. After when he beats this man and he's got blood all over his white suit, he calls his assistant. He was like, I need a new jacket. I don't want Maya to see me like this. And when he turns around, she's standing there. First off, I need you to go handle your bodyguard or whoever you had in the car, because he told Maya to stay put in the car. Why is this child out on the street?
Because it's a child. Children don't listen. You got 3 of them. I had 3 of them. I know for a fact they don't listen. It doesn't matter what's happening. Anthony has one.
My children don't have the Kingpin as a parental figure. If
you sure about that?
I mean, I've heard you angry. I don't know.
I heard the stories. I heard the stories.
I'm not about that life. No, there is a limit to my madness, and it is definitely not that.
Okay, and second of all, that ain't Maya's daddy. That's Maya's uncle. What makes you think she's gonna listen to him the same that she's gonna listen to her actual daddy? Like, you ain't my daddy. Maya, I thought I told you to stay.
He's a lot more deadly than her daddy.
Wait, I'm sorry. You not my. I don't know how to sign it, but okay. So at any rate, yes, yeah. Go ahead, because I love this scene. This is like I was like, oh, that explains a lot, actually.
It actually does, but also if you think about some of the flashbacks that we saw in the first 3 episodes about her being a child, like her telling her dad, "I want to do what you do." Her coming out, and when she sees Fisk, I don't even think she's fazed by the fact that he has the blood. I think in her mind, she's looking at it like, he took up for me. He stood up for me. And she runs over to the guy while he's already clearly down and out, and she kicks him several times.
Yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
looks at her
yeah.
like, hmm, okay. That lets you know right then and there. This child, like, we can say all we want about the way she was raised and the things she missed. She had some darkness in her from an early age. And I
And
know some of that.
that was the most adorable beatdown I've ever seen in my life. It was the cutest, the most adorable beatdown. I was like, oh, look at how she's kicking him in the side. That's so adorable. It's pretty, it's so cute.
But
It was adorable. Come on, you gotta admit it was kind of adorable.
it was disturbing.
It was
It was a little,
disturbing.
okay,
It
it
was
was disturbing, yes,
disturbing.
but it was adorable. A little baby kicking.
It
It
was
was like, oh,
disturbing because that it sets a precedence for what we see of her as an adult. When
I
she
mean, it does.
when she gets under Fisk's tutelage, I guess you can say, as far as, okay, you need a way to take out your anger, your aggression. Oh, I got it. Why don't you go do some jobs for me? Go kill some people. And like I said, you see when we see those flashbacks of her doing that, she has like there's nothing on her face. She's cold, she's calculated, she's not emotional, she's not thinking about it, she's not even hesitating. And it kind of sets the precedence for that, because even with all of this stuff, with everything that happens in especially episode 4, with Fisk coming back, trying to talk to her, trying to kind of reestablish a connection with her, even though, like, literally she shot you in the face, she shot you in the eye, and you're still coming back. And she's looking at him like she's wary of him, but she's still not bothered by him to the point where she she empties an expensive bottle of wine. Mike, you said something about this bottle of wine when we were talking months ago. How much is this bottle of wine? Do you remember?
Anything that sounds like Lafitte or La something that's French. If Fist is getting it, it's probably a good grand a bottle,
Because
1,500 a
it's
bottle.
probably more than that. Because I think I remember you looking it up. But anyway,
I think I did. It was like 10. You're right. It might have been like 10 grand a
I think
bottle,
it's
but
like
it's like,
eight. I think it's 18,000 possibly.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
But
it
but
was
it's
like,
like
something ridiculous.
it came highly recommended.
this is the dude who you shot in the face. He's sitting in your living room. He's trying to, I don't know, let bygones be bygones. I mean, you shot him in the face and he's still sitting here like, oh, I want us to have one of our Sunday dinners and all this other stuff.
Well,
And you're still
well,
there defiant him. Something is wrong with this child.
something is wrong with both of them. I
Yes,
mean,
both of them have
if
But
issues.
you
we
go
already know
this,
this about Kingpin. This has already been well established
okay,
that he
first
ain't
of
got two
all,
screws, you know.
okay, so back to the alleyway with the ice cream guy. So yeah, it's adorable and cute that she kicks him. But the man is like heartbeat away from death.
Right.
There's nothing cute and adorable about that. And second of all, directing her anger and aggression or whatever sounds awfully familiar to someone else. Sounds awfully familiar to Batman and how he trained his
Hmm.
those little
It's flock of
boys to
Oh,
deal
rock.
with
here we
their
go with
anger
the
and
Batman
grief.
as a toxic father thing.
Yes, again.
We need to include. Hey, Conoco, make a note. We need to
Oh
include
no,
Kingpin next
already
week.
noted.
I,
Already noted.
I know Anthony got this. He got it.
Already noted.
We already know. Because I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, he seems like more of a father figure to her than her own father. And I know that's just kind of the way the narrative goes because they're trying to establish the connection between those two characters. But it's like you see more of her with Fisk in this series than you do her own dad. And it's just kind of like, okay, that kind of explains how she ended up the way she ended up. But also,
No, I don't necessarily want to jump to that because of how she revered her father, because we're only seeing the flashbacks that are relevant to the storyline.
mhm,
So this may have been just one of the few occasions he picked her up after school, because again, he is a busy guy. And he
mhm,
probably had her father out doing something, and he
Right.
doing something for him, and he was busy. So he was like, "Yeah, I'll take care of it for you." He's
yeah,
not going to send some lowly peon to go pick her up. You know
no.
what I mean? He's going to do it himself because he's got his dad off probably beating someone
And
to death.
And think about it like this: what is the, he doesn't want anybody kidnapping her because they could hold that above like
Yeah.
his hold that above him and be like, we'll kill the little girl if you don't do what I say. But it's like
Hmm.
she could become a liability like that. So of course he's going to do it personally because ain't nobody gonna fuck with him. It's like even the police don't fuck with him. He's like he walked straight through the police and grabbed her after she ran that motorcycle through the window and nobody did shit except for that rookie cop who didn't know any better, who probably ended up in the gutter somewhere later. But that's a whole nother
Yeah, but
story.
that was like 20 years before that. So, okay, let me ask a question because again, I'm not as familiar with his backstory, his story, how they present it. How long has Kingpin been this criminal, like overlord, whatever, whatever?
Time has no meaning in the comic book universe. That's not an easy question to ask.
He's been doing it since like around 15, but it's like, I mean,
You
he
know,
killed his dad
before
early, so it's like,
see, before Daredevil's father was killed
Mm-hmm.
when he was a kid, up until Peter Parker became Spider-Man. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
it,
yeah.
it is you can't really, yeah. It's been a while.
Okay.
I guess I don't know. I would estimate 20. Like I don't know how much older Matt is than Peter. So
I
20
mean, Matt's got to
years.
be at least in his 30s because he's an attorney.
The
Yeah,
lawyer, yeah.
yeah.
Had to
You
go to
have to
law
go
school.
to college and go to law school
Yeah,
and
but you can get out of law school 25 and have a decent practice by the time you're 28. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah,
yeah,
late 20s,
20,
early
20,
30s.
20 some odd years in Marvel Universe years.
Okay. So that means that probably around the time when all of this happened with the hot dog vendor or the ice cream guy, whatever he was, that was probably right when he started like really cementing who he was in the city as far as him being the kingpin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, no, I mean,
No, I think in the show,
judging from
this show
his,
has probably been longer.
Okay.
judging
Yeah.
from his suit and how he was holding himself, I think he's right. He's well within his reign. Like I think
Yeah,
because
probably
it's like
10 to 15 years,
yeah,
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
because I mean he's actually he has authority. Like you could see like the way that I mean the way that you could tell by how he carried himself. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could see like him like the way he knew that he could go over there, grab that ice cream vendor and beat the shit out of him and have no repercussions because of who he was. If he wasn't in well within his kingpinness, he would not have tried that shit because that's really dangerous if you're just starting out being a kingpin. It's like you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself unless you're sure that you can handle the heat. So he knew that he could handle the heat regardless. Like if someone saw him, he was like, "I can handle that shit. Fuck that. I'll go." He's gonna pay for talking to my little niece like that. Fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
he knew he had enough power to know that that's not a risk. So he
Okay.
he was definitely well into his power.
I'll go back to
Okay.
my original answer. He's time has no meaning in the comic book universe.
Right.
Yeah, it really does. It really doesn't because he looks the same from when she was little to when she was big. Like he looks exactly the same.
Yeah. But I
Wild.
I don't know, just sitting here. You are not gonna do that this whole recording, Mike.
Okay, hold up. Okay, we have to go back because you skip straight to the Lafitte. Can we go back and talk about that technology that the man
Oh
brought to?
yes, we were just about to hit that. Yeah.
Oh my! Like okay, I was thinking about it and I was like, and all the time that he knew Maya, he really didn't know a whole lot of sign language. It's like he loved her, but he couldn't be bothered to learn sign language. So
And
he has
and
some,
that's she says the exact same thing to him too.
yeah, but he had people develop a contact and a earpiece that lets them communicate like just regularly,
The
which is
man is
dope
a
as shit.
sociopath. He doesn't. really understand emotions and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So
He
it
does
would be
understand control, though.
he doesn't say it's
Doesn't
control. Well, of course, yeah. He
Mm-hmm.
he thinks he thinks he knows how he should act as someone who would care about her,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't, because if he did, he would know it means more to learn sign language, like all of her family does,
Mm-hmm.
right.
to communicate with her, as opposed to coming up with technology where he didn't have to bother with trying to learn any of it. Her entire life, he's had the opportunity, the
Right.
chance. This man has basically unlimited resources.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
Right.
what he does to the translators.
Oh my
After they're done.
God.
He didn't ever bother. He wouldn't need the translators if he would just learn it himself.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying
that's
he
not
could have
how he,
killed her. He could have killed her off in the first or second episode. Then we wouldn't be
well,
here.
Yeah, but he
that's not how he
used her
operates.
for a long time, and
A
then
long
to
time.
treat her the way that she did. Like, I'm sorry, that translator, as soon as I turned the corner and saw that plastic, I would have ran back
Right.
into the room and said something to Maya. Not that Maya would have been able to do anything or stop it, because if you think about it, when you look at Maya's face when the translator leaves and the guy's following behind her, you knew something was about to happen to
I
that
knew that was
woman.
going to happen.
He did it in Daredevil. Like this is something he does. So
And he's just sitting there while she's saying, "No, I won't tell anybody." He's just like,
I know, just eating like it's nothing.
yeah, he's
"Oh,
yeah, he doesn't understand any of
I
that
mean,
stuff. He thinks he does and he acts like he does, but he doesn't really understand. He doesn't really
Right.
get it.
yeah."
Right.
But I mean, that technology was dope as shit. I was that's like Google Translate times 1,000. Like, holy shit!
Yeah,
She
it's
could be.
like I I'm kind of conflicted by it because it would make things so much easier, but also at the same time, like you said, and this is not just with Kingpin, this is just with people in general. If that kind of technology was available, then nobody would ever take the time to learn sign because all you have to do is speak and you have that, that technology doing the sign for you and translating to you what they are saying. And I'm just like,
Well,
that,
look at our phones. It's like our phones, we can hit a button and someone could talk into our phone and translate it, and we don't have to learn the language. It's like I basically wasted 7 years of my high school, and middle school learning French. It's like, why the fuck did I even bother?
Yeah,
Because
but
I
there's
can just hit
something to be
translate
said.
button.
There's something to be said to for actually learning the language.
mm-hmm,
Like the person I live with, whom I'm related to by marriage, she watches this show. I forgot what it's called, but it's about these multiple. It's a polyamory relationship show,
mm-hmm.
and one of the couples or thruples or whatever, one of them she speaks a foreign language, and so they use Google Translate to talk to her. I'm like, really, guys?
What the
This
hell
is
How do
kind of
somebody
you
you're in a
tweak
maintain?
over there?
relationship with.
How do you even start a relationship like that?
Well, I mean,
Yes,
Hi, how are you?
you're right. I walked
Yo,
in
can
one
I hit
day and
that?
they were all sitting around the table talking. I'm like, really?
yeah, no,
Really? This is how you find a third wife? Okay, a second wife. Okay.
yeah,
First of
no.
all, I need to name of that show. Second off, um, okay, I agree. It's just like, but it's like I can tell you a handful of phrases I remember now because I switched from taking Spanish to French in seventh grade, and I took French throughout because it was easy, and I was like, fuck. Now nobody speaks French. Everybody speaks Spanish. That could have got me paid,
Yeah.
but no, it's like I learned all kinds of French, went to state in French and finished fifth, and all the heartache of that shit. But it's like I you're right. It's like there's a fine line and kind of a ethical question there
Mm-hmm.
where you can say what's the point of learning anything if I can have it on my phone and readily access the translation for somebody if I go to a foreign country and I can just I mean that's how they were advertising it. It's like you can actually hit a button when you're talking on the phone and it'll translate it to the other person if they're speaking a different language. Like you can talk in it and it'll tell them what it says. And it's like, well, what the fuck do I need Babbel or any of this other shit for? Or why would I even need to take it in school for anything?
But see, there are there are layers to that. okay, so if I'm going on a trip, let's say I go on a cruise, I go to a foreign country, or I, go on a flight, go to a foreign country. I'm only going to be there maybe 4 days, 5 days, a week, whatever. And this is not a country that I plan to visit on a regular basis. Using something like a translator, or even electronic translation service, that I can understand, that makes sense, because some people, let's be honest, some people don't have the time to devote to learn a whole new language just for a few days. Because some people like me, I can learn it, but it doesn't necessarily stay retained in my mind. So having something like that for a short term, situation, I can understand that. But you have been this girl's quote unquote uncle for 20 years.
No, I
And
agree. He should
aside
learn. He should have
from
learned. Yeah.
him saying, I love you, or learning how to say we're family, or just a few, words here and there, for him to not know sign. I mean, even Trula, when she happens to bump into Fisk when he comes into the post office and he notices the ASL necklace, she says, oh yeah, she said, I learned it for my daughter and she's gone now, but I keep it up for my granddaughter. She has not seen her granddaughter in 20 years, but she still knows how to sign for her.
Shit, even Biscuits knows how to damn sign.
Yeah, but I mean, if they all keep it up because of Maya,
Right.
and
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
It's like I agree with you. It's like they actually kept it up just in case they see Maya again. Or I
Mm-hmm.
mean, maybe I mean, I agree. It's just, then Fisk is like, well, I'm rich enough to be able to fix this with a earpiece and a contact lens. I'm like,
Right.
well, whatever.
I'm actually surprised she left the contact lens in as long as she did.
He did.
Yeah. So
I did too.
I'm kind of surprised about that. But I, the whole interaction from the time that he gets there, and kind of the way that they're looking at each other, it's almost like they're squaring off, because she just looks at him in disbelief, but I think also too with a little relief, like he says, because he was like, yeah, I read that in your face. I think you're kind of sort of glad that I'm not dead. And she was like,
They're
no,
kind
I wanted you dead. No, you really did, because the way that you're acting right now, you're acting like a child. She was acting kind of like a spoiled child. She was not acting like
mhm.
somebody who, oh yes, I failed the first time. Okay, let me go ahead and kill you again, because she had the opportunity before she realized he had other people with him. I just feel like part of her, I won't necessarily say was glad, but I do think that she was kind of conflicted about it. At least until the end. I mean, well, no, I won't even say at least until the end, because even in the end, when they're having their huge confrontation and he admits that he had her father killed, she still she didn't take revenge on him like you would expect her to. She actually tried to heal him. And when she was in that little space where he was in his mind revisiting the trauma that made him kill his father, she was like, you're my uncle, I don't want you to hurt this, I don't want you to hurt like this anymore, let it go. I was like, yeah, you didn't want to kill him, you thought you did.
Yeah, but
But she's
they
rash and
reminded me of
impulsive, so we already know
yeah,
this about her.
they reminded me of wolves circling each other, like if they're like growling and like looking at each other, kind of sizing
Mm-hmm.
each other up, especially in the kitchen. It's just like they were just like really like getting ready to jump at any like they were really twitchy, like just getting ready to fucking like snap on one of the others if they made the
Mm-hmm.
wrong move. Like that, like when he dropped the knife and they were like,
Yeah, because they were trying to figure out who was going to do what. He was
yeah,
trying to figure out, oh, okay, is she going to try to stab me? And she was like, oh, can I stab him? And I think she thought better of it, because she was like, you know what? Let me just see where this goes. But going back to the other thing, what I was talking about, her demeanor and just kind of her personality and her having this darkness in her. You also see it in the scene where we get the flashback about her hitting the woodpecker and then lying to her mom about it. I was just
She
like,
was a little sociopath. Like
yes,
Right.
that's exactly what I thought.
She's another sociopath.
that's why they get along because they're both damn sociopaths. She was like, I just want to see if I can hit it. You badass little. You wanted
Right.
to see if you could hit it.
But I mean, and I understand that because as kids, sometimes we do that because one, we're not taught, at least not back in the 80s, you're not taught to revere living things kind of like the way that we're taught now. I remember being a kid and we used to do stuff like catch praying mantises and black widows and put them in a jar together and make them fight to see who was going to come out
Yeah, I
on
ain't
top.
catching no black widows.
Yeah, we
I caught praying mantises all the time,
yeah.
and put daddy long legs in there and watch the praying mantis eat the
No, we
tail.
did black widow spiders. So, but you know, it was, it's just interesting to see her character and how she starts and where she ends up. And, you know, I was having a conversation with Anthony's person that he lives with, to whom he's related by marriage. We went to a social gathering yesterday and we talked about the episodes a little bit because, you know, we had asked her if she wanted to do this, cover this show with us. And she was like, no, I wouldn't have anything to contribute because I really don't care for the show. And one of the things that we talked about was the fact that you have this character who is introduced to us as a killer, as a cold-blooded killer. Again, when she committed those crimes for the Kingpin, she's not remorseful. You don't see any regret. But by the end of these two episodes, and by the end, or rather by the end of this season, series, whatever you want to call it, we're supposed to look at her as the hero. But she really hasn't done anything to earn that redemption to be called a hero. And I was just like,
If anything, she dug a bigger hole, putting her whole community at risk.
And that's the other thing I was thinking about. Like,
Yeah.
the only reason why you did what you did at the end was because you brought this trouble to Tamaha. You brought this trouble to your family, to where this man came and kidnapped your grandmother and your cousin, where all of this stuff has happened. And that's the only reason why you came back, was because you saw that woodpecker and Biscuits was asking you, did you know where they were? You had planned to leave. You actually had left. Didn't tell anybody you were leaving. Just like when you came, you didn't tell anybody you were coming. You had no regard for them. And I kind of understand a little bit after her confrontation with Chula, because like I said in the last episode, when we covered the first three episodes and this one, Chula is like, she's very low on my likable list, because the way that she treated her granddaughter, and then the justification that she gave in these episodes as far as why she did it, I'm kind of like, Maya, I don't want shit to do with you. But
Man, there's
you
so
only
many people
came
in here that
back.
have issues. Like, I mean, this like the whole like everybody on this cast has some kind of thing wrong with them where it's just like you need help. Like this is like this whole show is like an advertisement for getting counseling
Family
and getting
therapy.
like
Yes.
getting therapy. It really is. Like everybody in this show needs therapy. It's
Mhm.
like Henry needs therapy because he's been working for Fisk so long that he like feels like he can't get out. It's like Fisk has killed everybody he loves to keep him in the business. And it's
Well,
like
it's not
he
that he feels like he can't get out. He can't. And he told Maya, he said, after your dad died, I tried to leave. I tried to get out. Fisk told me that he would kill me if I tried. So I came back here to do whatever. So at least with that conversation, we do know Henry was in New York with Maya and her dad, because
yeah,
she
but
says that you left me. You left me there all alone when I needed you. So
yeah,
at
but it's
least
like
he was there.
yeah, but he really needs therapy because I mean it's like he is like so you could tell he's so miserably unhappy. Like it's like I mean, it's just like he doesn't want to be there,
That's
period.
what
Like,
happens when you work for the mob or when you work
right,
for a
but it's like
criminal underlord, like
yeah,
overlord,
I'm
whatever.
sure. I'm sure that's why Kingpin had her father killed. Maybe he was trying to figure out how to get out.
right.
Let me.
For some reason, I can't remember why he had him killed. I just know he did.
I don't think they ever. I don't think they ever
I don't
said.
think I ever said, yeah. I think he
Mm-mm.
may have been trying to get out. Yeah.
But like
Are we?
he literally had the whole shop killed. That was like
Mhm.
11, 12 men. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have we talked about all that happening like during the blip?
I don't know.
Not
We
not
may have just
specifically.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
Because
may have
because I
discussed
mean,
something about that during our coverage of Hawkeye, but
yeah, but it's like I was just thinking about that. I was like, so it's like Kingpin really built up his empire during the blip, and it's like Maya's father and Henry and everyone else helped him do that, during. And this is like when he really like built himself up, and like Maya too. It's like Maya basically learned everything that she knew during the time of the blip, basically.
we don't even know because we don't know how that little group was affected by the blip. Because
Well, we
remember,
know,
Hawkeye takes place almost 2 years after.
yeah, but we know that he hired Ronan, so it's at least a year or two, like maybe a year after the blip, because that's when he became Ronan.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think well, yeah. I guess he would say he didn't hire Ronan. I
He
think
hired Ronan.
I
We know,
think
we know, we
Clint
know,
figured it out. Like Clint figured out, he's probably hired by an intermediary, but Clint was not stupid.
but he was
Yeah.
behind it.
I mean, he
He's behind.
literally told Maya, your boss was the one who wanted your dad dead. Your
Yeah.
boss hired me. I think he even said your boss hired me.
Yeah, but that's not how Fisk operates. He don't hire nobody. He makes suggestions.
No, because we saw in Hawkeye, what was the other chick's name? He hired her. Um,
What was her name?
I can't remember, but
Yeah, yeah.
anyway,
What's the name's mom?
let's
Yeah.
not get into the weeds. But you know, like you said, Mike, that whole family needs therapy. But
Everybody.
but because of all of that, because of that dynamic and everything that was going on with her family and the way she felt abandoned, she even used the word disown. She told Chula, she was like, you disown me. And Chula was like, no, I didn't. I couldn't stand to look at you because you're so much like your mother. When I tell y'all, I wanted to come through that screen to this woman. How dare you tell her about, you give her the story about your childbirthing experience to her mother, and then you say something like the bond between a mother and a child is unbreakable. And then you talk
Mhm.
about, how you felt when your daughter died. You are saying this to the child who lost her mother. You don't think she felt the same way as a 7-year old? And yet you abandoned her because you couldn't stand to look at her because she reminded you of her daughter, because you were upset at her dad. Oh no, I didn't disown you. I disowned your dad. It's the same fucking thing at this
You
point.
can't. People deal with grief in different ways. I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm not defending her because she was absolutely wrong not trying to be with her after she found out that her father was killed. Even finding out, even after they left, she still should have kept the lines of communication open because that's her granddaughter. There's no shot, and you've been in her life. There's no reason for you to not be in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody deals with grief differently, and some people are not. They can't deal with certain things like losing her only daughter, and seeing Maya who looks like her. Maybe that was just too much for her to deal with. Not excusing it, just saying that that could be a thing with her, and she just could not bring herself to deal with the loss and seeing Maya. That's
But then
just
you have no right to judge how Maya has been raised. You have no right to judge how she's living her life. Because if
true.
you really gave a damn about her, you would have figured out some way. I can understand. you being upset, you going through your grief when everything first happens. It's been 20 years. I understand your grief for the loss of your daughter does not go away, but there is another person who was affected by that tragedy who you should have reached out to. And I understand everybody deals with grief differently. I understand that there are different levels to it. I've experienced grief, you've experienced grief, we've all experienced grief. But as a mother, okay, as a mother, she had a responsibility to her daughter's child to make sure that that child did not feel abandoned. She had a responsibility to make sure Maya didn't feel like that whole accident was her fault, which we saw she clearly did in the first episode. She had a responsibility to Maya. And for her to still be justifying and trying to excuse it or it bothered me. And then at the end of the episode, when after everything has happened and they're having the little get together at the house, and Maya comes up and Chula comes over to her and looks at her and gives her the hug and they give each other a smile. No, you can't erase 20 years of bad blood like that just because she came and saved y'all's ass from a situation she put y'all in. That was the thing that when I went back and rewatched this episode or rewatched these episodes, I was like, okay, I do still like the series. I like it for what it was. But there are so many things that aggravated me to no end about these characters and the way that they conducted themselves. And
I mean, at least they're trying to mend fences. I mean, you would have been really mad if she wouldn't have gone back. If she would have just kept driving and done and just like become a vagabond and gone back to New York to try to fuck with Fisk.
No, because you know what? I kind of feel like in this sense, like one, Bonnie and Biscuit deserve better than the way that they've been treated by Maya. Because just like
Bonnie definitely does.
Because just like she was a child, those two were children either. So whatever animosity she had towards her grandmother because of the way her grandmother treated her, the things that she said her dad told her growing up, oh, she don't, your grandmother doesn't want to have anything to do with us. That should not have extended to Bonnie and Biscuits. And the fact that every time we see Bonnie in the series, when she's in her firefighter's uniform, she looks older, she looks mature, she looks like a person capable of handling herself. Every time we see her in a situation where she's with her family or where she's with Maya, she looks like a child. She looks scared. She looks unsure of herself. And the fact that she keeps looking to Maya for like reassurance and Maya is not really there to give it to her, she deserves better. She probably would have been better if Maya just look, in the course of a few days since Maya has been back to town, she has been kidnapped not once, but twice. Her life has been threatened not once, but twice.
This is true.
And Miss Pepper still ain't really had no communication with you.
Still hadn't talked to her.
I was just like, you know what? Maya could have got on that motorcycle. She could have left at that point. And they could have all been like, good riddance. Maybe we won't have to deal with this mess anymore. Because they didn't deserve that. Chula, I won't even say she deserved it. She deserved the cold shoulder that Maya was given. But Bonnie didn't deserve it. Biscuits didn't deserve being treated the way that he was treated. And even Henry, to a point, like, yeah, I understand you're mad because he left when his brother died, when your dad died, but you were a grown-ass woman then. So let that man deal with his grief in his way. But when you came home, you went straight to him because you wanted him to help you do whatever. And now I understand it. Because if you knew that he was trying to get from up under Fisk before, the mindset would be, oh, okay, well, since I'm going to do it, let me bring him in. I can understand that dynamic a little bit more, what we saw from them in the first few episodes. But yeah, no,
I
I don't even
just,
know
I
if
mean,
I don't even know if there's enough family therapy out there for this family. I just don't.
it's a lot. I mean, it's like that's literally a lifetime job for a therapist. It's like they ain't they gotta unpack a whole lot of shit. I
And
mean,
then
it's
you
like
add Wilson Fisk on top of all of that. Man, let me tell you, somebody would get very, very rich having to deal with that, because that's like a 3 time, 4 time a week session.
maybe my I could just go and like hashtag everybody and like cure them and like and like cure their minds and take
He
all their
said
things.
hashtag
Okay, so
Hashtag
since you
heal.
brought it up,
Hashtag
that's a perfect
superpowers.
segue. Let's talk about these
Superpowers.
powers, and let's talk about this lineage and all of this stuff, because another thing that Michelle said, the person who Anthony lives with, to whom he's related by marriage, and I kind of agree. Why did you have to give this girl powers? Like, I
why not?
understand because we have enough superpowered people. And I'll be honest,
Really?
no, seriously, I will be honest. If you think about the world that we're in this Marvel world, we're in the world where the Avengers exist. You already had two people who were not superpowered, but who were able to hold their own against aliens and monsters and all of this stuff. And that's Natasha and Clint. But you have to give Maya these ancient powers to deal with Kingpin. And again, it's kind of like, I get it and I understand it, and I didn't have a problem with it. I like the girl power part of the whole fight, where you literally see her ancestors standing behind her. I like the moment she had when she saw the vision of her mother. Her mother kind of explained how the power works through her and how she needs to let go of her grief and let go of her anger to do all this. You couldn't tell her this. You couldn't come to her when she was killing all these folks to tell her this. Like, I I don't know. It just
See, you're thinking too much about this. It's just look, Maya really needed those powers. I mean, those everything that she learned from when she talked to Chula, and Chula told her about her difficult birth and things like that, to when she went back over and she was communing with her mom, and her mom told her about everybody, like, you have the courage of her, you have the this of her, this and this from her, and da 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 da. And I
mm-hmm.
was telling her all that. It's like these are things that are really vital to her healing. Like she's already like this is vital for her to be able to become Echo, who is like one. This is really vital to her story, and it's vital to her learning how to cope with everything that she's been through and everything that's going on. It's like it's basically what I'm saying is part of the story. Don't think about it too much. Just let it go, because she didn't even have these powers in the comic book, and that's why I was just like, I was kind of like that too. I was just like, why are you? I mean, that's an impressive fucking power set. It's like to get the power of healing and to be able to transfer that power to everyone else. I was like, am I watching Shazam again? Like, is this like her giving the powers to her siblings and stuff like that? Like, that's kind of the same thing. Like, what are we doing here?
But
But
it's
I,
like, if you're so concerned about her healing and about this trajectory of us getting into the mindset of thinking of her as a hero or maybe anti-hero, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. But for you to come at her in her time of need against a personal vendetta, and again, you couldn't think to do this before she started killing other people. Now, granted, some of those people that she killed were also bad guys, but I'm pretty sure some of them were not. Some of them were probably, as y'all mentioned in the last episode, people who may have borrowed money from the Kingpin and couldn't pay it back, or people, there could have been some innocent people that she ended up doing away with. You couldn't come to your daughter before she became a cold-blooded killer and say, hey, this is the path you're going on, and this is not right. And this is why it's not right. Because you come from great women and you need to do great things. But you wait until she has to go through this personal thing. You wait until your mom is in danger. And then the whole thing with Bonnie, when she does the thing and then Bonnie gets the powers and Chula also gets the powers, again, that brings to mind, like, where is Bonnie's place in all of this? Because Chula acts like Maya's mom is the only child she had, but we don't know anything about Bonnie's parents. We don't know anything about Biscuit's parents. So how is it that, like, does Bonnie fall through the same bloodline? It's one of those things where it's like, maybe I am reading too much into it, or I'm thinking about it too hard, but it has the questions. Like, obviously, if Bonnie was able to, have the powers as well, she has to fall within that same bloodline. So where does she fall? It's just,
So I know it's really, really okay. So yeah, I had issues with this show as well. Some of the writing was just kind of all over the place. The pacing was a little weird. By the end of episode 3, I was like, okay, this has got some good stuff going. But in episode 4, everything like comes to a dead stop, and we're sitting around talking for basically most of the episode, and it's hard to recover from that. And then when you do an episode like that, you start having questions. You're able to sit and think and listen to people talking. You start thinking, how was this? Why is this even happening? You just start like Kingpin, like that you could have done so many other things. Well, of course, he's a sociopath, but he didn't. But there's so many other things you could have done to have gotten her on your side. She's just upset with you right now. Could you have explained it to her? Maybe, but hey, look, yeah, your father did me dirty, and I didn't appreciate it. So no, I didn't send you after him. I had to send somebody else.
right.
That's how we do business. You know what I'm saying? The writing was poor, and
It was like way too much exposition, way too late in the game. Like, you should have
yeah,
given us some of this earlier.
earlier,
And
yeah,
then we already complain about the fact that we get these seasons in 6 episodes. Y'all didn't even give us 6 episodes for this one. You gave us 5.
yeah.
So the story felt a little rushed as well.
So I think I mentioned this before. The rumor is it was supposed to be 6, but they were told to change it to 5, either for financial reasons or because the powers that be didn't like the pacing of the show. But it's almost like if they had have tightened it up some more, it could have been shorter. I either would have wanted it
It could have been
shorter
a movie. They could have done 2 hours. They could have
longer.
cut a lot. They could have cut a lot of that out and just made it a 2.5 hour movie, just like everything else.
Or they could have just made it longer and made it 8 episodes and kind of done what Hanako said and kind of spread the exposition out instead of giving us an expo dump. But I think because they got a shortened season, they wanted to do the expo dump. Like, they wanted to, okay, this is all the stuff we wanted to get out. Let's do it all in this episode. So we got sitting around talking and explaining.
Right.
And, and in danger of sounding, see, the problem with trying to criticize the show or having issues with the show is you don't want people to take it as being misogynistic or racist or whatever. I
think anybody who listens to us on a regular basis knows how we are with those types of things. So I don't think anybody would even come with that.
Yeah, I mean, so, it's like bad shit's bad shit. It's not being misogynistic.
I like the idea of the show. I thought there are things they could have done that could have made it a whole lot better. But some of the problems, like Hanako raises issues with, she was a cold-blooded sociopath killer who killed whoever he wanted her to kill without question.
Without question.
She puts her whole community in danger and doesn't think twice about it. And she's willing to leave it in shambles to get what she wants. She is him. He raised himself.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
and Henry even mentions that. He was like, "You're starting to sound like Fisk."
Right. And all of a sudden we're supposed to be like just okay with it because she has the echoes coming from her past. And that's supposed to, because if you look at the people, um, the women that she is representing, it wasn't like they were doing the things she was doing. You
Right.
know, they weren't cold-blooded killers. They
No.
didn't kill because they had to, defending their people,
Mhm.
defending their livelihood. Like the game that they were playing in the way the tribes operated, they would do that instead of having a war. So
Mhm.
whoever who lost the game, you basically lose the war.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they were defending their lives, their livelihood, their tribes.
Mhm.
Here, it's all selfish to her. It's like Hanako raised a very good point. Y'all gonna come to her now? Like, okay, well, she saved her. Well, she put all the people in danger.
In the
Like, y'all
first
can
place,
show up
yes.
and say, hey, you shouldn't do this. This is
Right.
wrong. Period. And I think at the end of the day, they really wanted to do something about Native Americans using her as a character. And they tried to do a lot of things. They tried to honor a lot of things. And I think they felt like this was the only way they could do it. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case because you could have given us a, because they did it in, they did it in Shang-Chi to a certain extent. They did it in Black Panther with the ancestral plane. So they kind of had, and now it's starting to feel like it's a trope now. You know, it's starting to feel like something that, oh, we're doing a different culture. We have to include the ancestors. Like
Mhm.
now, and I don't know if I'm on board with that. Like, I don't want them to just do it because they feel like it's a part of their story and their tradition. You don't necessarily, we didn't necessarily have to have the ancestral plane scenes in Black Panther. We really didn't.
Mhm.
They worked in those shows, in
They
those
yeah.
movies. They made sense, but here it wasn't even the same thing. You know, you do understand what I'm saying? I know
Yeah,
it sounds
because
kind of
like even with the ancestral
weird, but
plane, or even with, let's say, let's go to the Kohori episode of What If, when she went to the sky, the
the sky
sky,
people.
the sky dimension. It's like those people were teaching her, or when T'Challa went to the ancestral plane, or even when Killmonger went to the ancestral plane, these are people who are trying to teach them lessons for how to move forward in life, how
Even
to
when
be a
Shang-Chi
better
went to,
person.
when he went to, I forgot what the place was. That was
Talo.
essentially going,
Hello, yeah.
that's essentially going to the ancestral plane for him, where he was taught and learned
Mm-hmm.
about his heritage and what he is.
Right. And even okay, let's go back to Shang-Chi. When Wu entered Talo, he entered Talo with the thought of, oh, I'm gonna learn about all this and I'm gonna take it over. And he met someone who taught him a better way, a different way, and kind of curtailed him from all of that evil. It wasn't until she died, or excuse me, not even died, it wasn't until she was murdered that he went back to those old ways. But here with Maya, she was already like you said, she was already a sociopath. She was already a cold-blooded killer. And y'all didn't think to come to her at any time before that. And I understand she may have seen something before then and didn't understand it.
Right.
But for you to come at her the way that you're coming at her now, like, oh, we have to save you. Oh, you have to save our people. And you think about the first Choctaw woman, she literally saved her people from being crushed in a cave. Like you said, you think about the other woman um who kept her tribe from being banished because they won the game. You think about the um the warrior who was learning how to protect her people, and then when the opportunity came, she was able to do it. These weren't women who committed atrocities and then found their strength. So it just seems very weird that for to portray this character and the ancestors that you did in here, and I understand there may be a different story that we're going to get from it. Even though this is a Marvel Spotlight feature, we don't know. We may see Maya Lopez again. We don't know. But for them, I feel like just from the things that I know about indigenous peoples and the native peoples, they are all about protecting each other. They're about protecting the earth. They're about just that kind of nurturing, um, that nurturing type of thing. And for Maya to have been allowed to do what she did for so long, and then you come to her now that she's put everybody else in danger. Like, she was the cause of that. She was the one who came to Tamaha. She was the one who sent the bomb in her uncle's train, knowing it would come back to him. Like, I just have a big problem with that. And then having to look at this character and say, oh, she's been given this great power. Now she's going to do good with, you should have been doing good before that. Like, I don't know. That's just like, I don't know. It's just like having someone like a Thanos who is going around killing people be given something like the Infinity Gauntlet so that he can do, I don't know. It just doesn't
Okay.
sit right with me.
All right. So allow me to play devil's advocate here. So I get everything you're saying about all that. But let's say let's say that the ancestors were trying to get to Maya, but she's in New York City. She's young. She really has been around it enough to know that that's what's happening. Maybe she's seen woodpeckers all around, and the woodpecker she has no. She's like, "Oh, that's a bird. I don't know. I'm not going to follow that bird. Fuck that bird." Like it's like maybe she doesn't know. She didn't know how to commune with it. Then when she got. I mean, or she forgot. I mean, she's gone through a lot. Like she lost her mom, she lost her dad, she's become a cold-blooded killer. It's like she's lost her way. So it's like a lot of people. This is actually another trope. People lose their way, but when they come back home, they actually find their way and they find a way to commune with everything, and they find a way to connect back with their culture, their town, their family, whatever. It's another trope, but it's a trope, but it's out there. It's like she
Okay.
just doesn't it's something where you have to be around the people to actually connect to your ancestors. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're
Mm-hmm.
around people who aren't really connected that way, you're not going to be able to connect. It's like you have to be back in your hometown, back in amongst your people for you to actually feel everything from your culture and your community. So
Okay.
Okay, so we have several characters who are very similar to that. Magneto. Magneto, the child of, let's just say the Holocaust, he
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
survives. He's a somewhat decent person, but he has darkness in him. And then when the opportunity presents itself to protect his people, mutants, he makes some really poor decisions in their defense, which basically makes him a terrorist. Okay. Jason Todd, who is the second Robin, street kid, he has some darkness in him. Batman takes him under his wing, teaches him how to fight, try to channel all that anger and hatred or whatever. So he goes through something. He dies. He comes back and he's Red Hood. He's still he beats up people, he kills people, but then
Mm-hmm.
he joins Batman and he tries to do good. But guess what? He's still a little bit dark. The thing is, the nature of these people don't really change. Like I, the way her character is written now, I don't really have any confidence that she's going to be. I think she can try to be a good person, but the thing about sociopaths is that they think they know how to act normal, but they don't make normal people decisions
Yeah.
and choices.
Mm-hmm.
You
You don't think,
understand?
but you don't think this is a case of nature versus nurture? I mean, she's only been around bad shit. It's like her father was a hoodlum. It's like
Um,
and it's like she's been picked up from school by one of the most notorious criminals in New York, and she's been around him for most of her natural life. Most of the time when she learns the most a child learns the most from the ages where she was around Fisk and her dad. It's like that's where she learned a lot of her stuff, and that's just nurturing. Like she's been nurtured to be that.
She
It's
knocked
like
the
from a young
woodpecker out of the tree when she was living with both parents.
And then lied about it.
okay. I agree she's a sociopath, but still, it's like you don't think her mom also told her that that was wrong when she healed the bird.
Yeah,
So
that
you
stuck, didn't it? Because she showed
but
up
but
to kick the
but
dude who was
but
halfway
no
dead in the
no
alleyway.
what I'm saying is if her mom wouldn't have died and she would have stayed amongst her people, do you think that she would have grown up that way? Or would her mother have tried to nurture her and shield her from the things that her father was doing?
It wouldn't be right to say one way or another because we don't know the
We
answer to
don't
that
know. Yeah.
question.
Right, but that's the point. It's like
We
she still grew up. I mean, she might not have been as bad of a she still might have had sociopathic tendencies, but she wouldn't have been as bad of a sociopath if her mother was still here.
for fear of going into the woods of philosophy, because I can also say that human nature, what's right and what's wrong, and at its base value, beating up people who have done nothing to you is wrong. Killing people who have done nothing to you personally is wrong. Like there
Perceive
isn't really a discussion about that. So if your uncle tells you this guy owes me some money, can you go break his legs for me? And you go do it, you're not a good person. And it doesn't matter whether you were born that way or nurtured that way. You should have the ability to know what is
in
right
the
and what is wrong.
in the opening of episode 4, the ice cream man does wrong by her. He teases her, torments her, does not give her ice cream. Her uncle goes out, promptly beats his ass because he did her wrong. She goes out and it's like, oh, if someone does me wrong, then they deserve to get their ass beat. So
Well,
she
then
probably goes
explain
over
to me
there.
what the woodpecker did to her to deserve to be
I'm not saying
struck down. Well, he's
again,
minding his own business.
I can go back around to my argument that if her mom was around, her mom taught her that she was wrong about that, healed the bird, and told her that that was wrong. If she still had her mom in her life, she would have been less of a sociopath. I'm not saying she wouldn't have been a
I
sociopath.
see.
Period.
See, that's the thing because I kind of wondered that one of the things that scene showed me was that Maya brought that bird to her mother because she was aware that her mother was a healer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she literally says, "Can we fix it? Can you fix it?" And I just don't know if she has that kind of mindset that, oh, I can do these types of things and mom will fix it. Like, is that something that she will learn from to learn, oh, I shouldn't do this? Or is it going to be one of those situations where she's like, oh, well, I did this thing, but my mom can take care of it. So it's kind of like,
Yeah, because her mom could have said, "No, you did this really wrong, and I can't fix it."
right.
And this is
But
a
but
consequence of your actions.
okay. I don't think the the fact that she even brought the bird to be healed shows that she's not as bad that she still has there's still levels to her sociopathy. That was a good word. I like that.
No,
Okay.
because let me tell you, a narcissist knows that the things that they do hurt someone. They
Mhm.
will apologize for it, they will claim to change, and they will turn right back around in the same breath and do the same thing. Sociopaths are similar. Like like Anthony said, she may know what she's supposed to do as a normal person, like, oh, I'm supposed to feel bad about this, oh, whatever. There are parts of her that I think maybe feels bad about some of the things that she does, but not to a point where it gets her to stop. When you blew up the train and killed some of Kingpin's people, and his people came to the skating rink and killed one of the employees, took you and your uncle and your cousin hostage, was planning to kill y'all except for the phone call that they got. But you still consistently did things to put them in danger. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And I understand, yes, Fisk came to town. He made his offer to her. Hey, I'll give you Queen Pen status. You can have the whole empire. Just come home with me. What did she think he was going to do when she just took off? She didn't say anything to him. She didn't say anything to her family. Did she really think he was just going to let that go? Like, what in the 20 years that she has learned that she has learned from observing him made her think that he was going to be like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't want to come home. Let me go back to New York. No, that's not how this works. So,
I think they just had they had some writing issues the way they set it up, and they had no choice but to write it the way they did. And we're just supposed to go along with her being redeemed. And I'm not necessarily for that. Like, I don't necessarily agree with it.
I would say she's a work in progress, but
Yeah,
redeemed, no. Hero,
no,
no.
no. What has she done that's heroic? Nothing. you know?
Save the people that she put in danger in the first place.
Yeah, no. What is
Yeah.
it? What is it that Tony said to Peter? It's like when you can you do it without the suit? Like in that
Mm-hmm.
moment when it's just you,
Mm-hmm.
like what are
Yeah.
you going to do?
Right.
You have to
Yeah.
be that way without the suit. She has to be that way without the powers.
If you're something with the suit, then you're nothing. If you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve it, or you're nothing with.
Yes. Yeah, he
Yeah.
said something like
Something
that.
like that. So had she not channeled the echoes of the past,
Mm-hmm.
would she have been able to? Would she have gone this path? You know what I'm saying? Like she wouldn't have been able to save them.
Mm-mm.
She just wouldn't have been.
No, because at this point he's like completely pissed off. Completely. Like, I offered you a way out. Now, granted, I will say this. The fact that she ran does give me the understanding that she doesn't want to continue in that life anymore. But I also feel like part of it, again, self-preservation. At this point, he says he's not mad at her and he's not going to, get back at her. But how is she to know that that's the truth? She could have gone back with him to New York and he could have had her killed. He could have put her in an impossible situation. Oh, okay, well, since you want to be this, you want to blow up my stuff, you want to take my empire, okay, I'll give it to you, but I'm going to keep your family over here in Tamaha as collateral so that if you fuck up, I'm going to fuck them up. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of, again, is she doing this for the right reasons or is she doing it for selfish reasons? And it's
And
just kind of I think at this point, the line is blurred a little bit.
and is he even doing it for like I would like to say he's doing it because this is how he shows love. Like she has hurt him. She tried to kill him. She hurt his business.
Mm-hmm.
She ran from him
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. But he's willing to take her back and forgive everything. Is that because she's a tool, his most successful henchman?
Mm-hmm.
Like he really just wants her because she's someone he can trust and trust to do all these things he needs to be done and knows that it's going to get done. She's way
Yeah.
more valuable to him in that way
Yeah.
than as a daughter or, a surrogate daughter or a niece or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She's just another weapon, another tool for him.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I see what you're saying. I mean, it. I mean, she is like. I don't. I don't. I think that Fisk made the mistake that a lot of criminals say don't get too personal. Like everything should be business. Keep
Mm-hmm.
business at business. Keep personal personal. And he
Mm-hmm.
did not do that at all. Like he blurred the lines like crazy, and it's really affecting how he does business. Like affecting him personally and affecting his business because she's out. She's out like out for out for vengeance now because and he can't control her or get her or bring her back to heel because she's not listening and she's already like, okay, I'm tired of this, fuck you. And he's like, please just let me. He's like, okay. And he's tried every trick in the book. Like he tried to give it to her. He tried to here, kill me, then you can be me, just take me out. And then he's like, we've come full circle, just come back with me. And it's like she's still like, no, this is not what I want. But it's like he's
Right.
like exhausted every trick in the book except for, okay, now I'm just going to threaten you. I'm going to take your family and I'm going to kill them if you don't come back with me. And it's like he's used every trick in the book, and it all circles back to making making shit personal. And it's like, this is his fault.
And the other
I
thing
think the
is,
biggest problem, hold on, I just want to say this real quick before I forget.
mhm,
I think the mistake, I don't even want to call it a mistake, but I think the biggest issue I have with the show, with the writing, is the fact that the first thing she does is try to blow up and she killed all those people. I think he had not done that and maybe done something different where maybe he was coming after her and it wasn't because she did something that caused him to attack her community, but he was coming to her community because he knew that was the last place she would go if she was in hiding. And then she was protecting them from the henchmen or set it up like that, like give her a situation where she has to be the hero, where
mhm,
she has to save her community. Don't do the opposite, where she's the one that put the community in danger,
right.
in that way. Like
Mhm,
he's not there to punish her, he's there to get her, but he's threatening her community to get her to come back.
mhm,
Do it earlier. Like don't give us a reason to think that she's such a terrible person. Make us believe that she has changed
mhm.
from her meeting with Clinton and all that stuff that happened in Hawkeye. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
differently. Don't make it seem like she's still a bad person. Like
Mhm.
it was consistently all the way up until the end of the show. And now I'm supposed to be like, oh, okay, I guess she's cool.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't. Redemption arcs don't work like that.
Mm-mm.
You
And
know,
then the other thing that I'm thinking about, for Wilson Fisk to be the figure that he is, to have the reputation that he has, to have the businesses, all the people who work up under him, how do you, as that person, bring back the person who shot you, who killed some of your people by blowing up your weapons cache, whatever, on this train? How do you bring that person back with you to your territory and then make her the person in charge, the queen pin, without there being some kind of consequence? Like, for you to allow her to come back and do that, I feel like would weaken his position, because then people are going to look at him and say, oh, she did all of this to you and you buckled and you made her the queen pin. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just feel like for somebody of his stature, that would not be the right move to make. So it almost feels like he does have something else that he's gonna do to use her or to kind of trap her into staying with him, because you can't do that. You can't bring back the person who shot you and be like, oh, okay, everything's cool, we good. And everybody is looking like, oh, okay, well, if he's good with it, then I'm good with it. No, people are going to question his leadership. They're going to question his emotions. The fact that you let this person shoot you and do considerable damage to your business, and you make her the leader, that's like blackmail. That's like giving in. I just don't know if I see him doing that.
Fisk is not the most as as cunning as he is. He's still a sociopath. He still has mental issues. This is like, again, like all these people have different mental issues that need therapy. Like Fisk, a premium among them is like he's gone through childhood trauma that he hasn't addressed. He's gone through just being a sociopath, which
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't addressed. And now it's like, I mean, he is like singularly, he has tunnel vision with Maya, which is something that will get that's something that any criminal, the warlord, kingpin, whatever, any criminal leader, it will their downfall will all if you read anything you read, any movie you see, the downfall of every criminal mastermind is having tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wrongs them and they have tunnel vision as far as I'm getting this person, I don't give a fuck about anything else. Throw all the money at this and go get them, do all this other stuff, not worrying about any consequences over here, just worried that having tunnel vision about something is always their downfall. And this
Mm-hmm.
is the same thing. This is basically the same thing. He has tunnel vision about bringing Maya back to heel, not even back to heel, but just getting her to like him again. It's like he has tunnel vision about this, and it's destined to be his downfall because this is just how these things go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very
It's,
similar. It sort of echoes his relationship with Vanessa.
Ah,
mm.
See what I did there?
that's what you did there,
um,
Vanessa.
okay, coming off of Fisk for a minute, going back to the family. I will say this as far as the family dynamics and her actually confronting the people that hurt her and the ways that they hurt her. I will say this. Henry acknowledges his faults, and he is actually the only one in this whole show to say, I'm sorry. And I just, if more of them said that, or if more of them took, you know, if they claimed their faults as far as what they did, and I don't want to say do the work, because that's not necessarily what it is, but like Chula gave her explanation, she gave her reasons and the reason for her behavior. But even when Maya tells her how much that hurt her and what she thought as a child and how that traumatized her, not once did she say she was sorry. Not once did she, like, she showed a little bit of remorse, but also again, I kind of feel like that was also a little bit of selfishness on her part, you know? And she was kind of, I feel like she was kind of dodging the bullet, because when Maya's like, you disown me, she was like, no, not you, your dad. Like, but I'm an extension of my dad. We both left Oklahoma when my mom died. You didn't keep in touch with either one of us, because I'm pretty sure if Chula had reached out via phone, whatever, I don't think her dad would have kept her away from Chula. I mean, regardless of what he was, being an employee of Fisk, you never get that vibe from him. He didn't seem like the type of person to hold grudges. He didn't seem like the type of person that would poison Maya against her people. He understood why Chula was upset. You know what I'm saying? You even see that in that interaction they have before he actually leaves. But the fact that Henry was the only person who apologized to her, and he gave his reasons. He was like, I was confused. I was scared. For someone of his reputation, you know, who he's supposed to be in the show, he's Henry Black Crow Lopez. You kind of get the feeling that he's kind of like the big man on campus for this town, especially when it comes to dealing with Fisk as being one of his people. For him to at least give her that much and to say that much, I think if it hadn't been for that, she probably would have just left and been done. But I mean, even from the beginning, we see she has a different type of dynamic with Henry. Like, they can be a little more honest with each other. They can be a little bit more harsh with each other, but you can still see the love there. You can still see that there's some respect there. And I'm just like, why can't the other people in this show do that? I mean, even for Maya should have said she was sorry to a whole bunch of people in this show.
Especially Bonnie.
Bonnie, yes. But I mean,
And
Bonnie,
Biscuits.
Biscuits, Henry,
Henry.
because she used Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other person that yeah, they all got issues, but I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is there one like a really, really likable character in this?
I mean,
I would
Scully.
say it's probably Biscuits, Bonnie, and Scully.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's like I know this falls into their spotlight, the Marvel spotlight banner. So this is just a little snapshot of this
mhm,
character, but it could have been a really good opportunity to do a really good character study and do some character development, even though it's not really going anywhere. But I think it would have done the show well to try to take that perspective with Echo's character and make it, I'm sorry, Maya's character, and make it more about her growth and development
mhm,
and reconnecting with her culture. Like you still could have done all the cultural things
mhm.
and made it more impactful and significant. And I'm not saying it's not, it's just it could have been so much better than what the end product was. And I
Yeah,
don't
because
even
it's
know.
like you get all of that stuff just for it to, I feel like the focus went back to Kingpin's character because
Yeah.
of what we see in the end credit scene with him going back to New York and this whole thing about the mayoral race, which I was like, oh, he's going to run for mayor. What does that have to do with the show? And I feel like it's going into the new Daredevil series, but it's kind of
It
like
helps it is.
if you look at it in that sense, like I will say this, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done this show for what they tried to do with this show and also for the representation, the learning about another culture and those cultural aspects. I loved what they did. You know, watching the Choctaw powwow and looking at the history of the Choctaw nations and even the birth scene where Chula talks about what happened with her mom. I loved all of that. But it's like you give us all of this stuff for this one character and then turn around and you make the focus of it Kingpin. Because we
Yeah.
don't know if we're going to see Maya Lopez again. We probably won't. And it's just
Now,
kind of to
well,
me like,
I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure we're going to see her again.
well, I don't know. I mean, think about it, especially with the news that's been coming out of Marvel recently. Like they have several projects where we were introduced to characters that we thought was going to go somewhere, and now we're finding out they're not. We know we're not getting an Eternals 2, so those characters gone. We know there's nothing right now, probably nothing going on with Dane Knight's character. So
And
it's
and Blade is a dumpster fire, apparently.
right now. Yeah, like they've literally started from scratch with everything except for Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
New
And even
director, new writers, new cast.
even even Daredevil Born Again has been scrapped and redone script wise several times. Their production is a mess right now.
Well, I think they're done now. So at
Are
least
they okay? Because they
I
were
think
still
so.
going through some stuff
Yeah.
for that
But
show.
but yeah, but it kind of falls along like we don't know if we're going to see this character again, especially if there was not enough people interested in it. Like I said, I still like the show. I know we're airing out our grievances, but that's because I really had high hopes for what this character was going to be, and I just feel like they fell short because it feels like they rushed it. Again, when we found out that this was going to be 5 episodes, I was like, why? We already complain about the 6 episode arcs that you're squeezing all of this information into these 6 episodes. If they're doing multiple seasons, that's okay, but we don't know what's going to happen with this character and with this show, and I just feel like there was a lot more that they could have done and that they probably should have done. And it's just I don't know if what they did was enough for them to bring back the character. In
And
okay, let's say this. Bring back the character in a way that makes sense for their story and not just to tick off boxes, you know?
mhm.
And that's the thing that I don't want it to become. Because Marvel has been really good about I will say checking the boxes, but also making sure the stories fit so that it's not just about checking off the boxes. But now I kind of feel like I don't know. It's just one of those things where was this story supposed to go? Because
And if we
if this character had not shown up in Hawkeye, like I don't know.
and if we do see her again, is she really going to be any different than when we left her in Hawkeye? Is she
Yeah.
going to be that much different?
I
Like,
mean, if they put her in something significant and they give her a proper character arc as far as showing us her doing the work to make up or to atone for all the things that she has done, then that would be different. But if you're going to give her back to us and her character continues to do the same things, or even if she's going to try to take down Wilson Fisk, there are some things that I feel like she's going to have to answer for. And if we don't see that, if we don't see that regret, um if we don't see that change within her character, I just don't want all of this to have been for nothing.
yeah,
For
it would have
her
been
to be
cool.
in the same for her to be in the same
Same
place.
place. I just had a thought. Like, it would have really been cool if they could have figured out a way to shoehorn her into being um the replacement for Natasha.
Mm,
Like, if they could have figured out a way to make her journey parallel that of Natasha's, then I could see her working as a character in the MCU
Mm.
mm,
because
okay.
she's got a lot of blood on her ledger too.
Yes.
You know?
I
Okay.
just
I have
no, because I think that as far as I it, there's still like so much they could have done. I mean, I'm remaining positive. I think that there's still redemption for her character. I think that she can appear in the new Daredevil, especially since we know that they're going with the Mayor Fisk line, where it's like in this line, Daredevil is going to be deputy mayor. He's going to have it out against vigilantes. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that he can do with all these storylines that he's getting ready to have that include her. So I just I'm holding out hope because I like this series. I really like her character. I like some of the things that they did as far as developing her. So I'm still holding out hope that they'll do right by her.
okay. Now let me ask you a question. Her character in the comics, is she affiliated with any of the groups?
That's a good
No,
question.
she's just with
I
Daredevil,
think
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I think she just
just street
yeah,
level.
Okay. Because
yes.
I was just wondering, like, is her character someone who could possibly show up in like Thunderbolts or Young
No.
Avengers, or I saw someone post a I guess a theory or a rumor about, they just recently released the official title for Thunderbolts and it has like the asterisk at the end, and someone was saying, oh, maybe this is their way of introducing the Dark Avengers, and I was like, oh, okay, something else I need to go learn about. But I'm just wondering, any of these groups, is that something they could introduce her character into? And I realize they probably could because they're not necessarily holding canon to the
Mhm.
comics. But I was just kind of wondering about that, especially with you making that Natasha parallel, Anthony. It's like, okay, yeah, if they give her that kind of redemption arc, I can see her character going somewhere else. If they make her kind of like an anti-hero, similar to a Deadpool, where yes, she's out killing people, but she's also doing good. And I can kind of sort of see that too. But again, I feel like with her powers coming from her ancestors and the vibe that that's supposed to be, I just don't feel like that would fit very well with that type of
Yeah.
art.
I mean, she's worked
Okay.
tangentially with the Avengers
Yeah. The
and the
Avengers,
New
the New
Avengers,
Avengers, the
Okay.
but
Daughters of the Liberty. She spent time with the Hand, so it's like
Okay.
is she does do some, but it's like she's mostly solo. I mean,
Okay.
shoot,
and
she's
and it's
she's
not
actually
like
done time as a
a member. It's just
yeah, just like as a
Kind
on a
tangentially.
of the way
mission.
Omni Man Omni Man was working with the Guardians, like, yeah, I'm not part of them, but yeah, we co-workers, kind of sorta.
Yeah,
So
it's like, oh, the you know, Black Obsidian shows up in Hell's Kitchen, and the Avengers show up. Oh, look who's fighting alongside them!
uh,
Echo and Daredevil. It's
okay.
sort of like that.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
how Doctor Strange isn't an Avenger, but he's tangentially affiliated with the Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy, they're not Avengers, but they're,
Yeah.
if you look it up, you'll see, oh, Avengers. No, they weren't Avengers. They just were somewhat affiliated with them.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let's step away from the heavy stuff for a minute. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff. Biscuits rolling over the vans with his monster truck.
No, Chula's monster truck, because that's her truck.
That's yeah,
Oh,
that's
was that
yeah,
Chula's
that's
truck?
Chula's truck.
Yeah,
Yes,
he went
that's
to
the
the
one that he
junkyard to get some
Oh,
modifications.
right.
you are
Yeah,
right.
he had to fix her truck.
He
Remember,
had to fix her
because
truck.
he basically
Can you
wrecked it.
imagine delivering the mail in that thing?
Hey, through rain, no rain,
Rain,
sleet, snow,
sleet,
or hell.
snow,
Right.
or dead of night, or all that,
Mhm.
whatever the
All
fuck
that
you got to
stuff.
go through.
That was fun.
That
Um,
was it.
Henry pulling out a silencer in the middle of a crowd and aiming his gun at Dane, and Dane seeing it through the scope of this weapon. And he's like, wait, what? That was funny to me because here you are, you've got this big launcher
It's
with this weapon
RPG.
that can literally take out everybody. And you see this one man with the gun, and you're just like,
Yeah. So,
huh?
is that how that works? Like, if you shoot an RPG in the air and it doesn't hit anything, does it just turn into a firework? Is that how that works?
It probably explodes, but I don't know. I
Without
don't
hitting
I,
handle those
anything?
kind of.
I don't think this is how it works.
I
I
don't
don't
I
think that's
don't
how it works
know.
either.
But I mean, hey, it worked for what we needed it to work for here. Um,
Hey, fireworks display in the house. I was like, oh god.
those were fun moments. Seeing
Oh,
Maya walk into the
Tula whipping ass was a good moment. I don't care because she threw somebody up and banged them on the ceiling. I was like,
Mhm.
damn, mommy Chula, all right there. That was good. I like that.
Really, really.
Okay, grandmommy Chula. Okay, is that better?
Oh my goodness.
But yeah,
But
I thought that fight scene was actually pretty good. I appreciated Maya trying to heal Kingpin's child Kingpin's childhood trauma, and Kingpin immediately see that's the thing. Also, sorry, but to get heavy again, but most people that have heavy childhood trauma
mhm,
cling to it, and when you take it away from them, they don't know what to do with themselves.
right.
Like that's literally the thing that becomes a part of them that they need to
Mhm,
function, and that becomes like who they are. And when you take it from them, they're lost,
mhm.
and it's like they have no idea what the hell to do. And luckily enough, I mean, Fisk sitting in his private jet. Oh, woe is me. I guess I'll go lay in my millions of dollars and figure out what to do with myself. But luckily, there's a mayoral race in turmoil that he can take advantage of. But yeah, I can appreciate that. I just wish Maya would like hashtag herself and like take care of some of the other stuff in her head too. But I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it works that way. I don't think it works that
But
way.
And who is she to take away his pain? Like, when did
she's
she
just
all of a sudden become a therapist?
she's her niece. She's just trying to help. I mean, it's like not saying she's right, but she's just trying to help. She's like, here, let me take that from you, and he's like, no. He gets hurt,
I
but
don't think it worked all the way. I think it's too ingrained in who he is.
I
well,
kind
duh.
of feel
Of
that
course
way
it did.
too. I kind of feel that way too, but I don't know. I think I understand her trying to heal him because I feel like with him holding on to that, he would have continued to pursue her like unrelentlessly.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Maybe he has a different focus now, so maybe he's not thinking about her. And like you say, he's going back to New York. He's gonna enter this mayoral race, and that'll pull us into Daredevil Born Again, which I'm gonna assume y'all probably want to cover, or at least I know Mike, you probably want to cover it.
Well, do you even have to ask?
but
No, we can't cover it until you watch Daredevil.
I'm gonna watch those shows before it premieres on Disney Plus. So I am gonna get caught up on that. Um, but
Okay, but yes, I definitely want to cover that. That's going to be incredible. Um, yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I don't know. Like I said, if we're gonna see Maya Lopez again, I would really like to see some growth for her character. Um, I would like to see some healing of her own, and just to see what they can do with her to make sense and not to be. I just don't want to see this always angry, always bitter, reckless. Um, not really thinking about who she's hurting or how she's hurting them, just kind of, act now, think later. I don't want to see that type of character. Like we don't need that. We don't need that. And then if she's super powered on top of that, we definitely don't need it. We don't. So I don't know. I don't know. I did enjoy this series. Contrary to how we've talked in this particular recording, but there are just some things I feel like could have been improved upon, and maybe if they had done an extra episode, we wouldn't have gotten it. I don't want to say it was so clunky towards the end, but I think it wouldn't have felt rushed the way that it felt to me. So yeah.
I like the show. I thought it was awesome. I mean, of course, I mean, nowadays everything what Marvel puts out has some problems. So it's like I just basically sit back and I'm watching, okay, there's going to be a problem sooner or later. But I mean, overall, I mean, I liked it. There was one part when Maya was having the vision of the woman of Chula having her baby, and
Mm-hmm.
Chula was having like the vision too, like they were like standing still and a wide open and wide eyed, just like going through it.
Mm-hmm.
When they switched to the next scene and they're in Henry's truck, and I was like, wait, is this the vision, or did she not snap out of it and he carry her, put her in the truck?
Oh yeah, I think he carried her and put her in the truck because apparently he also called Chula and was like, "I'm bringing Maya. Something is going on."
Yeah, and but it's like they didn't do a good job of like saying like showing that like because I thought it
I
was
don't
like
think
a
they needed
vision.
to. For me, it was
I thought it
kind of
was a vision.
obvious
I
what
thought
happened.
it kind of seemed like it was a vision quest to me because she was because it just didn't seem because even when he was talking to her he was like she's in there, you need to go talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they kind of like a dream state. It seemed like a dream state to me. Maybe I was not looking into it enough, but anyway,
Mm. Okay.
Well, I didn't think it was amazing. I just thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Um, I would have been fine not having seen it,
Mm-hmm.
but I was fine watching it. I won't be doing a rewatch of it. Um, I liked a lot of the things they did. I really appreciated the culture they tried to inject into
Mm-hmm.
this. I appreciated the diversity and the representation and all of that. I just wish the writing had been a little bit better. I just
Yeah.
wish some of the decisions had been maybe a little different. I think there was a lot of potential that they just kind of missed out on
Mm-hmm.
um, for this show. And Hanako, you pointed out something that I didn't even consider. They did end it with something that had nothing to do. Like they really didn't have to do the Kingpin looking at the mayoral race. Like
It
no,
goes back to you have this show with all this diversity, with all these strong women, and then you end it going back to the regular,
yeah, yeah,
white man
yeah.
trope.
This is what we really were
And
setting up because that's how these scenes feel. Oh, this is the whole show was to set up this moment,
mm-hmm.
right? To explain why he's doing what he. Come on,
Yeah,
y'all could have just kept that.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
I
but
mean they Marvel they got to set up the next big thing. Whether
not
if
at
it's
the
not
not at the expense of the show we're watching.
I
yeah,
understand what you're saying. I'm just saying.
yeah. Okay.
Someone obviously there wasn't any of those people in the room to tell them, no, let's not do that right here. You know, let's not do that. This is the end with her and the family at the picnic and call it a day.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand why they would set him up because again, they're probably going into Daredevil Born Again. But again, you didn't have to do it at the end of this show.
Mm-mm.
But I guess, truth be told, it wouldn't have made sense for them to put it anywhere else because in this universe, we don't even see him interact with Spider-Man. So it wouldn't have made sense for them to do it anywhere there, even though he is technically a Spider-Man villain. But uh, I, I don't
What
know.
you do is you put it at the beginning of the first episode of Daredevil Born Again. It literally fits with whatever narrative they're trying to have. He's born again. You
Yeah.
know, this is you show what she did to him, and then him making a decision, on the plane. That's your prelude to Born Again. You
Mm.
didn't have to put it at the end of Echo because then it takes away from the fact that it's just a spotlight. You take it, you make it.
Yeah.
You can't say, "Oh, this isn't going to be a part of the MCU narrative as a whole," and then you make it a part of the MCU
Yeah.
MCU
I
narrative.
got you.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not really a spotlight anymore.
Yeah. So, but I do hope we see her character again somewhere. And I hope she has some growth and some healing under her belt the next time we do. So that's going to be my final thoughts on it. You guys have any final thoughts before we close this out?
I think I got all my final thoughts out.
All right.
Um,
Well,
Shout out to real quick. Shout out to them mentioning Levan Cookies, which is like a boutique cookie shop in New York City that usually has a line around the block twice to get their cookies. But
mm,
Fitz just happened to show up for Sunday dinner with a box, and it's just because he's Kingpin.
mm-hmm.
Shout out to Maya, telling him that it was Thursday instead of Sunday when he said he wanted to do Sunday dinner. I thought that was like that was clever as all get out. Some of my favorite lines. Shout out to Roxanne making another appearance. Is like the ever present Roxanne, the big bad big bad that we see somewhat in Loki, but the little diner, that kind of Howard Johnson looking diner that
Mm-hmm.
she stopped in, was a Roxanne owned truck stop. Shout out to that. Also, shout out to Chula actually finally giving in to Scully and giving him a little bit of Choctaw language after he gave her the sewing machine. I was like, yeah, my man Scully getting back
She
in
came in
there.
there with a whole different attitude when she was
Hmm.
coming to look for something she needed. She
Well,
was
oh yeah,
all nice and smiley and flirty. And I was just like, Scully, you can do better.
Scully
You
don't want to do better. Scully want to do that. Look, also shout out to Chula having incredible like leather making skills, like and beading skills to make Echo's outfit like in one day, and doing like that was a lot of intricate work to be getting done in one day. But I mean, you know, gotta do what you gotta do to get that costume done.
right. So
But the
that your
costume was
granddaughter
dope.
can have her uniform, her
Exactly.
costume
Gotta have that
sort of
costume
thing.
ready. That
Yeah.
costume was dope though. I
It
mean,
was
the
beautiful.
like the leather work and the beadwork was on point.
Mm-hmm. But
Um, I still like this show. I'm glad that Marvel is still showing representation, even though it's still kind of uneven and heavy-handed at times on the things that they do. At least they're trying. At least they're doing something instead of doing nothing and having people not and worrying about people calling them woke. And it's like they don't care. They're doing whatever they want to do, and I applaud them for doing it. I just now that they're doing it, I want them to do it and actually pay attention and do a better job of bringing it forward and presenting it. I think that should be something they focus on with things that they're doing in the future.
okay. So I guess that's gonna be it for our coverage of Echo. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social media at Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We'll be joining the conversation next time.